My dear students, this is your Professor Dr. Sayed. You are welcome to the online digital learning program. Today I am going to teach you about casting processes. How many types of processes are there which are using in heavy industries and light industries? Now we are going to discuss about the history of the castings, definition of casting, basic features of the castings, the types of different molds, the categories of casting processes, and further classification of expandable and permanent mold casting. Do you know when the casting process has been started in the world? It's the oldest manufacturing process. It was the 8th century before Christ that cast iron was first made by the Chinese. But it was not still until the invention of the blast furnaces invented by the Europeans in the 14th century. However, the large quantities of cast iron were produced. Interestingly enough, according to the 39 census of world castings production was in 2004. China was the leader in casting production worldwide at that time. What is the casting process? Casting is a manufacturing process by which a liquid material is usually poured into a mold, which contains a hollow cavity of the desired shape and then allowed to solidify. The solidified part is also known as a casting, which is ejected or broken out of the mold to complete the process. Casting materials are usually metals. Almost all metals can be casted. Casting is most often used for making complex shapes that would be otherwise difficult to make by other methods like in machining, etc. These are the different casting molds which you are seeing here. What are the basic features do you need to make castings? We need pattern, riser, runner, course, gate. Pattern. A pattern is made up of wood or metal, is a replica of the final product and is used for preparing mold cavity. The riser, a column of metal placed in the mold to feed the casting as it shrinks and solidifies. It's also known as feed head. The runner, the channel through which the molten metal is carried from the sprue to the gate. Course, a separate part of the mold made of sand and generally baked. It is used to create openings and various shapes, cavities in the castings. Then gate, a channel through which the molten metal enters the castings cavity. Parting line, joint where mold separates to permit removal of the pattern and which shows how and where to open the mold. Sand, a sand which binds strongly without losing its permeability to air or gases. Chaplet, a metal support used to hold a core in place in a mold, not used when a core print will serve. Binders, Materials used to hold molding sand together. Pouring basin, filling the mold with molten metal. Shrinkage, the decrease in volume when molten metal solidifies. Mold, the mold contains a cavity whose geometry determines the shape of the cast part. Mold material should possess refractory characteristics and withstand and pouring temperatures. Molds. How many type of molds are there? The various casting processes are classified according to these different types of molds. One is open molds. The second one is closed mold. Open molds. Open mold is in which the liquid metal is simply poured until it fills the open cavity. Then closed mold. The closed mold is provided to permit the molten metal to flow from outside the mold cavity. The closed mold is more important categories in production casting operations. These are the two diagrams of open and closed molds. The left side is a open mold, where you can see it's open and cast metal can be poured directly into it. Whereas the closed mold that's in the right side, here you can see pouring cap. From the side of pouring cap, the metal is poured, and in between the mold and pouring cap, there is a riser, and finally the metal goes to the casting. See, some of the parts of this closed mold are: one is pouring cup, riser, cast metal in cavity, then core, then cope, then potting line. See, it's a potting line from where the mold can be opened after casting. Then finally it's a drag.